Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fire Up. Yes, Fire Up. We are really raring to go. We have some good topics here, but we have a handful of us on the air. And I'll start right to left. Candy, Mrs. South Florida Tribune.
Well, hello, Scott. Glad to be here.
And we have GE, George Eichhorn. And
Uh,
thank,
I,
and
I'm
thank,
I'm up against a brick wall, but I'm here.
yeah, GE stands for good
General
things.
Electric.
Yeah, General Electric, and his camera brings good things to life. That's been the upstanding joke here at the company with him not having one. All right, so but thankfully it's working tonight. And we have Ralph Williams from the External Bum Podcast. We do this show, by the way, on Fridays at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Ralph, welcome back to the big show.
Oh, thank you so much. Glad for having me. And Candy, George, and Jeremy. Always a pleasure as well. Thank you.
Yeah, Ralph and I do this show every Friday at 11 Eastern Time. So hope you can join us. If you see us on Facebook, and you certainly see when the show goes. A really fun show that we do. And last but not least, Jeremy Ballrick, welcome back to the big show.
Glad to be here. Let's talk some sports.
That's what we're going to do. All right. Well, with that said, okay, we're going to start with the National Football League. Who could be buyers or sellers at the trade NFL deadline? You know what, Candy? We're going to go right to left, synergize it that way. Who do you think?
Well, let's see. I don't think there's anybody that would want anybody from the Packers because they're either injured or, injured or they're not playing well. So the Packers aren't going to be either because their season is done. I mean, I hate to say that, but Matt LaFleur's coaching ability is really shining through, I think. And everybody can say what they want. Aaron Rodgers didn't do good his first year, even though he had sat behind Brett. Brett didn't do good his first year. So does that mean Jordan Love, we keep letting him, I'll be honest with you. He is throwing to so many young receivers. He doesn't have a good veteran receiver out there like a lot of these teams do. So they're not going to be buyers or sellers. They're going to kind of stay put, and I don't think anybody will be taking any of their players. Now, do I see some of the other teams doing it? Of course. But my Packers, no.
Okay, George.
Well, you take a look at the standings, Scott, and my philosophy is always if you're either a contender right now or you're very much on the cusp, you definitely want to try to buy. For example, you got Kansas City and Philadelphia with 6 wins, the Lions and the Dolphins and the 49ers and the Ravens and the Jaguars with 5. I mean, you have to be looking to upgrade your team if at all possible. That doesn't mean you want to give away somebody for nothing. Of course not. But in the case of the Lions or the Dolphins, if they have some help they need in the defensive backfield, then yes, by all means, they should be looking to see what they could possibly pick up either by trade or by signing somebody off of another team's extra roster positions. And then you say to yourself, because it's not even halfway yet in the season, you say to yourself, oh, what about these teams that are dogging it? I mean, who might they be able to give us or trade with us? Carolina winless. You got Arizona with 1 win. And you got so much parity now. You got a bunch of teams with just 2 wins. I mean, there's so many different opportunities. So it's up to these management team now to take a good look, all these squads, and see if they can find somebody that can help their team out, especially, like I said, the teams that are at 500 or above right now.
So if you were to venture a team, George, a team, buyer or seller, you're doing a good job being Barry Sanders, eluding the question. Give it to me.
Well, I know I got to look beyond one state. That's Michigan. I got to look at all the teams around the country. But there's a lot of talk here locally about the Lions getting some help for that defensive secondary because they've been decimated by injuries.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, go to Jeremy.
Well, if you go by record and cap value, the people that will be buying or should be buying here at the trade deadline, it's San Francisco, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dallas, and because Minnesota's got a chance to stay at second place, they need a little help too, with Justin Jefferson being out the next 2 or 3 weeks. They have 10 million. Everybody else that has a high record has less than 10 million in salary cap, and most of the people on the trade block have higher than $10 million salaries. And yes, cap is fluid and it can be manipulated, but when you have players that have a high ticket price,
Right.
they have to agree to the restructure to clear that cap space. And Dan Campbell came out to say they will not be making any big or flashy moves because they really truthfully don't have the cap space to do it at $6.343 million in cap space right now. So unless Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow restructures, which are the only two that will, because Goff is looking for a bag, otherwise his contract extension would have been done prior to the season. So there really isn't a lot of wiggle room with that because the rest of the roster is 90% rookie contracts or people that have been restructured to where they're making next to nothing. Like Romeo Aquara, everybody was griping about that contract that he got when he re-signed, but he restructured himself to only a $2 million contract. But because they converted all that stuff to signing bonus, he has a $10 million cap hit, dead cap hit. So they're not getting rid of him either. So it's all about the fits. So I think more than likely they're going to stay the course of getting like people on vet minimum contracts and practice squad poaching for the Lions. But like I said, San Francisco, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dallas, and Minnesota have the most money to spend with having that close to a cusp record of mid to good.
Okay, Jeremy, go to the chat room.
Well, Vogel says, I think Lions get vets on vet deals like Sue, Jenkins, King. King is a good young cornerback. Jenkins had played with Ginn before, and Sue can help this team with attitude. Those are all good players that are free agents. Sue never turned in his retirement paperwork. He has also said that Dan Campbell was his favorite coach he ever played for. So, and he owns businesses in Detroit already. He owns a share of Calvin Johnson's medical marijuana dispensary business, and he also has 2 apartment complexes.
Very interesting thought by Will. Glad you brought that up. Well, you got my wheels turning. All right, over to Ralph.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe it was the coaches that are walking on eggshells this year that need to get some help. But the Giants, they're 2-5. I thought they would do better. They're probably going to look to make some trades or possibly bring some guys in, depending on their salary cap. The Cardinals are 1-6. James Connor's hurt. Kylie Murray's not doing anything. Josh Dobbs is their quarterback. Colt McCoy's down there. So and it's first year coach and everything else. And then, you have the Bears. Of course, the Bears, they always need to do something as far as that goes in the NFC. And the Panthers, Carolina Panthers, they haven't won a game yet with Frank Reich. I'm actually quite surprised. I think it's because they have their rookie quarterback. And, I think, but the AFC, the Patriots, let's take a look at them. They're 2-5. If Mac Jones goes down, they don't have a quarterback. So they're going to be some buyers. And then you got the Titans. They're willing to sell off Derrick Henry. I think, they're going to get something for him. Somebody needs a lot of teams need running back help. So, I mean, if I'm them, I would do that. I'd say the Titans are probably going to be sellers, and the Broncos need to really do something. But see, the problem with the Broncos guys and Candy, they don't seem to have enough salary cap, and they wasted all their draft picks making trades. And with the Russell Wilson deal, and Sean Payton, he's in kind of a cave right now with what he has, and I'm actually quite surprised, but and he's squeezing it in there. The Commanders, Ron Rivera's on eggshells there, and he's got Bieniemy as his offensive coordinator. Sam Howell was doing okay, but I think those are my buyers and sellers.
All right, let me go over a couple of things. Once again, Will Vogel hit another jackpot with this comment. Chase Young would be interesting if they could get him for the right price of Detroit. I thought about the Broncos for sure because they don't have enough draft capital. I would think that's why they'd want to move some of those pieces in an effort to get it. I do believe this is a one-and-done year between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. I can't see those two coexisting next year. Dallas, Jerry Jones, if he thinks there's a deal to be made, he'll do it. But I don't know. I'm riding the Will train tonight. I really am. I think that Chase Young could be had for the right price. I really like that comment. But Sean Payton, to me, should have waited another year because if Brandon Staley had been fired, that would have been a better job to take. But he was so desperate to get back into coaching, he decided to go on a Rocky Mountain high, and now he's experiencing a Rocky Mountain low. So go figure. Go figure. I mean, but Will, you're doing great tonight. I love keep it going, pal. So with that said, all right, let's go on to our next topic. Chicago Bulls players only held a players-only meeting after a 20-point loss to Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, you know what? I'm starting on this one. A players-only meeting after the first game of the year. Is my math serving me correctly or incorrectly? Okay, they play 82 games a year. We're panicking after one. This isn't New York. This isn't the Yankees. George Steinbrenner is not going to fire you after one game. Well, then again, he has fired managers in about 10 or 12 or 15, but that's beside the point. Before I go any further, though, I did forget to do this, but I won't forget now. That Fire Up is being broadcast around the world. Can you hear me, world? Okay. The audio version of Fire Up can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Chime in on the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com, and we'll match them up to the show, which best describes your comments. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com, for which Candy Ebling is a mastermind, for which she goes out there and handles it. Twitter at Tribune South, X, whatever you want to call it. Candy is behind the scenes normally, but she isn't tonight. She's right front and center. Also, I have a book that I will be releasing in the next couple of weeks, and that is Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. So it'll be out there, and as we get closer to release and publish, we'll let everybody know about that. All right, let me go back on my thought here about the Bulls, okay? The only one that I feel that may not make it through the year will be Billy Donovan if all this keeps going south very quickly. So, all right, Candy.
So when I first read this, I'm the one that brought this topic up. And I'm like, I cannot believe that after the first game, you have to have a players meeting. More importantly, why do we all have to know about it? Like, go ahead, have your players meeting. Motivate your team, motivate your players. But I can't believe that you need that after the first game. Like, you should have just practiced all together. You should be gelling. You should be. Why you have to have a players meeting and we have to know about it is beyond me. I'm shocked and surprised. But in the same breath, if players noticed something that needed to be addressed, good for them for doing it right away and not letting more of the season go on and all of a sudden they have more problems.
Well, the only thing I'll say is, Will Vogel, you're back to the GMTA theory, because I just said what you already wrote. 81 more games to go would be more logical after 10 plus. Couldn't agree with Will anymore on this. Good stuff, Will. All right, George.
Well, listen, they lost 4 out of 5 guys in the preseason, okay? So there might have been a stink bomb going on that we're not aware of. I just looked it up. They lost 4 out of 5 in the preseason, and then they got whooped by a very, very soft Oklahoma City team, not a contender for our division title. And second of all, Candy, you know that the media, if they're sitting outside a door waiting, and that locker room door doesn't open, then they'll say, what's going on in here? So the media is going to find out if there's a players only meeting. They will find out. No, they won't get the detail because all the players will probably be sworn to secrecy, but the media will know that something's going on because they'll ask somebody, whether it's a head coach, whether it's a trainer or whoever, somebody on the team or a PR man, they will find out that there was a players only meeting, but they don't have to say what it was about. But no, I don't think those things are kept secret now, especially if they did it right after the loss, because, you know, the cooling off period is over, and by NBA and Professional Basketball Association writers' agreements and broadcasters, they have to open up that locker room after the cooling off period. So I didn't look at the nitty gritty of it, but I would say, yeah, that's probably why the media mentioned it. It is strange. I got to admit, it is strange, but I don't know. Maybe some stuff was going on, seeing after they lost 4 out of 5 in the preseason. I don't know.
No, but you make some good points. That's for sure. It could have been building up to that point, and all of a sudden after game one. So now that you've mentioned that, I can understand it. But still, I think you go a little bit beyond one game. That's for sure.
Can I chime back in? According
Absolutely.
to Nikola Vukcevic, it was just regular discussions of what needs to be done. A lot of guys said a lot of good things that needed to be said. I think we can really use this and to learn and change some things that we need to change.
Okay.
He continued, it wasn't anything crazy, no fighting or none of that. It was really constructive. It was maybe one of the first times since I've been here that this was like this, and it was really needed. So that tells me that there's more problems in that locker room that we don't know about. That's what I'm going to say. That's all I needed to chime in.
That's fair enough. Okay, Jeremy.
That being said, teams need to have player meetings. Players need to get on the same page, and that's what it sounds like this was more of. It was less of a gripe session than what can we do to better ourselves. I mean, 4 out of the 5, and then they lose the first one by 20 points. Somebody might not have been hitting their assignments on defense. Somebody might have been taking too many shots instead of making that one extra pass like every coach in basketball teaches us with the fundamentals. If you think you can shoot, pass, get it to the open guy. So there's a lot of things that can be happening in that. And I actually applaud it. I would rather see teams do the player meetings than having to wait for a coach to come in and throw crap around the locker room until something sticks in their head.
All right,
That's just my opinion on it.
Let me put one thing out here. Well, miss being here. Well, you know what? Glad to have you back. Well, thanks for being part of the show tonight. All right. With that said, Ralph, go ahead.
Yeah, Zach Levine said one of the players, they want to win. So to have a players only meeting is logical if you want to win. And, so, they, like George said, they were horrible in the preseason. They got blown out by a couple teams. And then to lose like this to Oklahoma City, that's not going to cut it. And if you want to win and you want to win now, that players meeting was not a bad idea, but they probably should have gave it a few more games maybe before they really got into it, like Scott says. And, but I believe that if you want to win, like Zach Levine said, yeah, you're going to, you want to have that meeting.
I'll just say this, Oklahoma City is a team on the rise too. So it's not like they lost to a team that.
Yeah, they're not bums or nothing.
No,
so,
they're not.
Yeah.
That team was very improved the last couple of years. So it's not like you're losing to a perennial doormat. They're getting much, much better. All right. Final topic of the night before we go to parting shots. World Series predictions. Texas Rangers versus Arizona Diamondbacks. I'll start on this one again. Many years ago in 1987, I worked with the Texas Rangers organization in their Class A league at Gastonia, North Carolina. And I was working with the likes of Sammy Sosa, Juan Gonzalez, Dean Palmer, and the list goes on and on. So part of me feels I'd like to go out there and root for the Rangers, but by the same token, I lived in Arizona in 2001 when the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees. So my loyalties are mixed. So I'm going to just I'm not going to make a prediction. I'm going to call it a push, but you guys are.
Wait a minute here. We tried to do this once before, and you said, no, you got to pick a winner.
All right, Jeremy. I'm not giving up the hat. All right. You know what? I'll just say the Texas Rangers in 7. If I'm gonna dish it out, Jeremy, I guess I have to take it. And you definitely got that one right. So, all right, Jeremy. Good stuff. I can handle it. All right. So with that said, I'm going to have you make the next prediction instead, since you wanted to talk and get
I agree. It's the Rangers, and I think it's in 6.
Oh, dear.
I just don't. Arizona's got a nice small ball thing, but one thing Texas Rangers have is pitching and defense. So that's why, on top of the same type of small ball with a couple power hitters here and there, and they can score in bunches because they put people on the base paths. They're a very disciplined hitting team.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, now we'll go to Candy since she's looking at me with these interesting looks of how I'm reacting to some of this chat stuff. Go ahead, Candy.
So I'm going to not take the popular choice, and I'm going to go with the Arizona Diamondbacks because they were heavily underdogs with the Phillies. They were heavily underdogs with the Phillies, and they took it. They were underdogs to the Brewers, and they took it to the Brewers. They took it to the Dodgers, and they did it in two. I mean, they swept the Brewers and the Dodgers. They just have this feel of being the scrappers, the ones that like are just going to pull through. They don't let anything phase them, and they were on the brink of not even making the playoffs. And look what they did. They made the playoffs, and then they swept, and then they swept, and then they took. Let's face it, not many people gave them much of a chance against the Phillies. The Phillies have a much bigger payroll, a lot bigger stars, but yet they won. Arizona in 6.
Okay, George.
Well, Arizona's got Torey Lovullo, former Detroit Tiger, and former home of Kirkgibson and Alan Trammell, and back in the day, and Luis Gonzalez played for the Tigers. But I can't go against brucebochy. I really can't. This man is a remarkable manager. He's got a calming presence about him. He was the right man for the job in Texas. The Rangers did a smart thing in hiring him. In San Francisco. Oh, what great teams he had over there and won a couple of World Series. So I'm not going to go against brucebochy. I think that the Rangers will win it, and I'm going to go with 6 games also. But it's going to be a heck of a series. I really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, with that said, why don't you read the thing that Will Vogel put up?
Yeah, Will said both of these teams are a lot of fun with a mix of youth and older players. I got the Rangers in 6. Brucebochy is a great manager and won 3 times World Series to Giants. And crazy, they lost, I think, 100 games.
Yeah, 2 years ago they did.
Oh, yeah. 2 years ago, the Rangers. I got
Boy, Will, you ought to really roll. What the hell's wrong? What has gotten into Vogel tonight, man? Keep it up, man. I got Corey Seagar winning the World Series MVP. All right, well, man, I tell you what, this guy's
he's a little bit on fire.
I didn't even realize Will Vogel's been away for so long that he's taking mind reading lessons, but somehow some way he seems to be doing it, man. What are you doing with him on your Monday night show that I haven't seen? I need to know this here. How are you reaching this guy?
We'll talk after the show.
No problem. Just kidding with you, but he's doing great tonight. All right, go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Rangers. It's going to be in 7. I think the Diamondbacks are going to give them a game. I think games. It's going to be a dogfight. It's not going to be easy pickings. You see what the Diamondbacks have done. Like Candy said, they won a lot of games and beat some people that no one thought they could beat. And they're a small market team that's scrapping, and they're in the World Series, and good for them. But I think it's going to be the Rangers. It's going to go 7 games.
So, Ralph, is that going to be a topic on tomorrow's External Bum show?
Could be.
I don't know. Stay tuned. Teaser out there, 11 o'clock.
We have a lot to talk about anyway tomorrow.
Oh, we always do. We always do it in rapid fire. I just hope our buddy Lance is on there so I can beat the daylights out of this guy.
I got 3 more sponsors, Scott, but I'm going to try to get them through quickly tomorrow. So.
Oh, that's all right. Well, yeah, let's see if you can go ahead and run the 50-yard dash in about 10 seconds instead of 5 minutes on there. But no, that's okay.
I could do it in my wheelchair.
Ooh. Oh, that's all right. But meanwhile, here, just make
first
sure.
First bad take by Will Vogel.
Huh?
Wait till the Rangers get a healthy DeGrom and Robbieray pitching next year. If they get a healthy DeGrom, you better get your Mega Millions ticket.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's almost as healthy as Chase Young.
Hey, well, let me give you a little tip here, my buddy. When they were down here for the All-Star game in Miami, I did have a chance to interview Robbieray, who used to be with the Tigers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Robbie's a good guy, and he's always an easy one that you really want to root for. So I'm glad you brought Robbieray up. All right, now we're going to go to our parting shots. Candy, lead off.
So I'm gonna take 2.
Okay.
My first one is kudos to Giannisantetokounmpo. You signed an extension before the season so you can put all the doubt and all the question away and really focus on basketball and playing the game. And you showed your loyalty. Milwaukee has showed our loyalty to you, and you showed it back by signing an extension with Milwaukee. Kudos to you. My second parting shot has to do with I am dedicating tonight's show. Today would have been my dad's 81st birthday. He is now up in heaven. He passed away earlier this year. So happy birthday, Dad. I hope you are celebrating with your parents, with my mom, and having a good time up in heaven celebrating your birthday. We love you and miss you, Dad. Happy birthday.
Yeah, that guy saved me from a serious hand injury when I was in the Keys over at Key West or Key Largo. We were involved in this situation there where, we're going to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill after a glass bottom boat ride. And we get to this, here we are on, I think Federal Highway goes all the way down there to the end anyways. And we're in a traffic jam here. And it took us an hour to go 1 stinking mile. An hour to go 1 mile. I was ranting and raving and hitting my Anna, and he kept rambling one-liners after one-liner. He makes me look like a non-one-liner machine, and he was on a roll. And you know what? He did save me from a hand injury. Love you, Dad. I have a lot of stories I can tell about you, but I wouldn't be dumb enough to go ahead and mention the fact that you did once tell me to have duct tape on my mouth in a library studying for the 215 state exam. Never did it, but I certainly locked myself in a room to study. So am I putting that out there? Yeah, because you're full of laughs anyways. And to me, he was an important part. All right, Candy, great parting shots. All right, George.
Well, my parting shot is this. Rob Manfred, you did it again. Taking a look at the schedule for the beginning of the 2024 baseball season. Oh, what great planning. In the last week of March, you got the Detroit Tigers, Cold City, at the Chicago White Sox. Great job, Rob. You did terrific. Oh, and then the Tigers go to play New York. Shall I strike up Frosty the Snowman or Winter Wonderland or Let It Snow? Are we going to hear those songs as the Tigers and the Chi Sox and the Tigers and the Mets play? You just can't get this straight, can you, Manfred? Open up in the dome stadiums. Open up in the warm cities. It's that simple, buddy. But no, you can't do it. You're a failure in that regard with me. Sorry.
Okay. Pretty good. All right, Jeremy.
Dan Campbell came out today and said that there will be no big flashy moves. He also said that it has to be the compensation that they give up has to be right for whoever they get, and that person has to be a culture and chemistry fit because he does not want to rock the boat that they've built so far at 5-2. And I completely agree with that because coming off the IR in the bye week should be CJGJ and James Houston, which will be coming off the 8-week IR, and that's when their 21-day clock will start. So the fact that it comes off on the bye week and they got a week to get in shape and work with the trainers and get practice and get back, they both could be back by week 10, which will be very good for the rest of the season because that'll finally give us that pass rush guy on the opposite side of Hutch, which was the last time Hutch had sacks in the lineup, as in multiple.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Ralph, what's your parting shot?
My parting shot is Antonio Brown and Dan Serafini. You know what? You two are a disgrace. Antonio Brown skipping child support. Something wrong with you, dude. Something's been wrong with you. You've done a lot of stupid things, and this is the worst. Okay, Dan Serafini, you have your own bar and restaurant that was rescued by John Taffer and Bar Rescue, who wasted his time helping you rescue your bar, and then you go ahead and you murder your father-in-law. I mean, come on, guys. Let's get with it here. This is a disgrace. It's a disgrace to sports, and it's a disgrace to the whole concept of athletes that have retired. It's terrible, and you guys are shameful to you guys for both of you guys getting involved in this kind of activity.
Okay, well, my parting shot is actually a good one. Thank you very much to the LA Clippers. You're not interested in James Harden either. goodness, you want to wait for a little while. So, James, guess what? Okay, don't fake it till you make it because they don't want you either. The Clippers want to see exactly, okay, how things are going to go before they add a cancer to the locker room because he's been a cancer everywhere else and never win a championship with his selfish behavior. So, my advice to you, James Harden, and I hear he's going to miss the first 2 games of the year, although the NBA is actually investigating why he's going to miss 2 national TV games. So here's the thing, James. Now you got no place to go. So you better earn your money the old-fashioned way. Play basketball, okay, when you're needed. I love Charles Barkley. He says, man, these guys are getting paid all this money, and all they got to do is play basketball 3, 4 times, 5 times a week. I love Charles Barkley. And by the way, the nice thing about Charles Barkley, he's in my book, Lessons from the Microphone. I won't tell you the other 9 pictures, but that's how much respect I have for Charles Barkley because he tells it the way it is here with the NBA. But James Harden, the Clippers don't want you either. You know, laid an egg when you thought about going to the Rockets because you wanted a scoring title over a championship. Nobody wants you, James. So stay with the Philadelphia 76ers, okay? That's a city of brotherly love, but by the time they get done with you, it'll be the city of brotherly hate. Remember, James, this is a city that went out there and throw snowballs at Santa Claus. And you know what? But that beard, you look like one, so it doesn't make any difference anyway. Play basketball, James. Nobody wants you. All right, Candy, wrap it up.
So, if you like this show and want to see more shows like it, there's a red subscribe button in the corner right by Jeremy. Please click it. Like us. Share it to all your friends and anyone you think would be interested in the broadcast. We have many shows on our platform. We have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We have Inside the Pigskin. We have Fire Up. We do a Fire Up Wisconsin, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Florida. We do No Limits. We do Sports Exchange. We do Pundit's Pundit. You name it. Come on over to our channel and check us out. You can also check out our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you will find, let's see, Scott, George, and Jeremy all write for us and have columns on the website. So check it out. And if you want to see pictures that I've taken, that you'll find some of my pictures on the website as well. If you have ideas for further shows, comment or email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you'd like to sponsor a show or advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you like to listen to broadcasts or podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, you can find us there. More importantly, Scott's coming out with a book. If you can see it in the upper right-hand corner above George, Lessons from the Microphone. It's coming out soon. It'll be a great gift book for anybody, but especially for anybody that is striving to become a broadcaster or writer or wants to be in the media business. It's a great book, great read. And it has some really cool pictures too. There's a picture of Scott and Muhammad Ali in there. But anyways, we're striving for 1,000 subscribers. We're getting so close. Will you be that 1,000th subscriber for us? Okay, Scott.
Very good. All right, Candy, well done as always. I'm not going to add to what you did because it's hard to follow what you do. So with that said, I'm going to turn over to George Eichhorn instead. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, boy, I never got permission to get that picture from my book into Scott's book. No, I'm glad. I'm glad you're using that picture, Scott. You and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Well, how can you not?
Yeah. And anyways, what a great tribute that is. I'm so happy that you got a book coming out.
Not only that, you wrote the foreword for it, man.
Yeah. Yep. And my book is still available. There's a little tag at the end of my column in the Motor City Tribune. Detroit sports broadcasters on the air. Thank you, Jeremy. Proud owner. And you can reach me at geichhorn@yahoo.com. You can also reach me on Twitter at sandgsports99. And follow me on this show, among many others, on the South Florida Tribune Network, including 108 Stitches, Inside the Pigskin, the Sports Exchange, and Pundit's Pundit. And again, great being on Fire Up with you guys, all of you tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Ralph.
Yeah, you can reach me at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com, www.rwmedia.org. YouTube, I have my own YouTube channel. You can also reach me on Twitter, X platform, and also on LinkedIn and Facebook. I also have my own radio show every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m., Beaver County Radio in Western Pennsylvania with my co-host, Smoking Jim Fraser. Scott was a guest on this past Tuesday. It was great to have him on. And I always have some good national guests on. Starting in January, Sports Corner goes 2 hours on Beaver County Radio, 4 to 6 p.m.
And last but not least, Smoking. Go ahead.
Well, as mentioned, I do write for the Motor City Tribune, which is under the southfloridatribune.com. Go to the little 3 hash mark heading and pull up the menu there. You can also find me right here on Fire Up. Whether it's Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Wisconsin, I'll be there. And then last but not least, you can find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. If you are getting new to podcasting and you want to create one about your team, do not use the exact verbiage of what the team is called because it's trademarked, and YouTube is shutting channels down like that as a warning going forward. That being said, and check me out on Twitter, Smoking Jeremy on X.
Well done, Jeremy. Very good. So there you have it, my crew tonight. So meanwhile, this concludes this edition of Fire Up. Glad you can join us. So on behalf of Candy Ebling, George Eichhorn, Ralph Williams, and Smoking Jeremy B, my name is Scott Morgan, Route the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. We hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and we will see you. Well, this show won't be on next Thursday night because we have another commitment, but it'll be 2 weeks from tonight. But we'll be back and better than ever with a lot more top topics. So you take care, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. But all of our shows will still be intact. We just have something busy going on during this time frame that we have to do on business that way. So check out the South Florida YouTube channel and please subscribe to it. And then you'll be able to see all the shows that we definitely have. So good night, everybody. Until the next time.
Happy birthday, Dad.